Hello everyone. Um, in this video, we are going to talk about how to do filtering in R using the dplyr package. The dplyr package is a data manipulation package which has some um, very well written syntax for doing data analysis. So um, let's start it by loading the dplyr package. So basically, we want to load the dplyr package. We just write library dplyr, and now we load the packaging. Now the next thing is that we're going to create a data frame. I've already created a data frame here. So let's create a data frame, and this is how the data frame looks like. It has two variables, one group variable which has 3 ones and 3 twos, and a value variable 112156, basically a bunch of random numbers. So we know there's a filter function in dplyr, and if you are familiar, you know how to do the basic filtering. For instance, if we want to return all the rows where value is equal to 1, the syntax basically is filter, and the first parameter is a data frame. The second parameter is a condition. The condition basically is a comparison. So we do value is equal to 1. And if we hit enter, it should return all the rows where value is equal to 1. Okay, this is a basic filtering. So what if we want to filter by multiple values? So we don't necessarily, let's say we don't necessarily want value is equal to 1. It can also be 2. So that is what the OR operator does. So in R, there's a to OR operator. What we want here, let's say what we want here is is this operator. That is a single pipe. You just pay attention to this single operator. We are not using like these double pipes. This is also an OR operator, but this OR operator is for Scala. So since the value is actually a vector, so it's a column, so it's a vector, and we want to do element-wise OR, so we use this single pipe. So we want to filter where value is equal to 1 or value is equal to 2. Then this is how we are going to write the code. So value is equal to 1, return a logical condition. Value is equal to 2, returns another logical conditions. And we use this element-wise OR. So we're going to emphasize that we're going to use this single pipe that is an element-wise OR. So if we write in this syntax, and if we hit enter, we should get all the rows where value is equal to 1 or value is equal to 2. Okay, this is one way to filter by multiple values. Actually, there's a simpler way. The simpler way is that we don't use the OR operator, we use in. This is the in operator. In operator, and let's say we want to the value in this vector. So the value in this vector, which means it could be 1 or it could be 2. And if we hit enter, we should get the same result as above. You probably already see that this line of code is shorter than this one, and it's probably not so obvious how advantageous this compared to this syntax. But if you want to filter, say, more than two values, like value is equal to 1, value is equal to 2, value is equal to 3, or value is equal to 4, then you probably have to write a lot of code if you are using this OR syntax. But if using in, you simply add the values inside this vector, and which makes the code much shorter and much easier to read and much easier to program. So a lot of people tend to actually forget about this operator and write a bunch of OR and eventually find that their code is not scannable. So it's highly recommended to pay attention to this in operator when you do filter. Okay, so this is the OR operator, OR condition. How about AND? You probably have already guessed that it's simply this AND operator, which is the same as AND operator in other programming language. If you have already used other programming language, so of course this condition is going to return nothing because the value can be either 1 or 2. It cannot be both. So let's change the condition a little bit. We want the value is equal to, we want the group is equal to 1 and the value is equal to 1. Then before we hit enter, we should let's see what are we expecting. So group is equal to 1 and value is equal to 1. It should return 2 rows of the data frame, the first row and the second row. The other rows should not satisfy this condition. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, so that's what we are expecting. So which means this condition is correct. And of course, you don't in the dplyr syntax, you don't necessarily have to write this AND operator. You can also use comma. So the reason we can use comma is that in dplyr filter, it implicitly assumes that you're using AND condition if you use a comma or comma separated conditions. So basically, if you write a group is equal to 1, comma value is equal to 1, it will assume all these conditions should be satisfied simultaneously, which is an AND operation. So if we do hit enter, we should get the same result as above. Okay, these are some basic filtering. We filter by single value, we filter by multiple values, use OR use this IN operator, we filter by an AND operator, or we just specify a comma separated list of conditions. So this is a basic filtering. The next thing I just want to introduce here is that an advanced filter condition. Let's say in this data frame, we want to filter by groups. That is, we want to return the whole group if that group satisfies a certain condition. So what do I mean here? So let's say I want to return group 1 because I want to return the group that has exactly 2 values equal to 1. So this condition is going to only be satisfied by group 1. This group 1 has 2 values equal to 1, and group 2 has only 1 value is equal to 1. So how are we going to write this condition? Well, intuitively, it seems that we have to write some group by condition. And you are right if you are making that assumption. And the syntax we're going to use is the group by filter condition in dplyr. So let's first write the skeleton code. So basically we are going to use something like this. This is a group by filter, which means we are firstly going to group by this variable, and then we are going to construct the condition here for each group. So what is the condition? The condition is that there are exactly 2 values equal to 1 in the value column. Okay, how do we construct that condition? 2 value is equal to 1, it seems we have to simply write something like this. Value is equal to 1. Okay, does this work? I do not think so. Because why? Because it checks value is equal to 1, but it doesn't say for each group, it doesn't count how many ones we have. And we can verify what we have by hitting enter. If you hit enter, you see it's exactly returns the same result as this condition. It's actually, it doesn't care about groups. It just say, okay, this value is equal to 1, it returns the 3 rows. So it's the same result as this condition. So we have to do some count for each group. So how do we count value is equal to 1? Count the ones. we already have this Boolean or logical vector here, value is equal to 1. So we know that this is going to represent a vector of true false. And we want to count choose. In R, if you want to count choose of a logic vector, you use sum. So the sum will gives you how many choose are in this vector. So basically this expression counts how many ones are in the value column. So now we get the counts, and then we just need to compare, and we want to verify that this count is equal to 2. Now, if we have this, now this seems to be the condition we want. So if this condition is correct, what are we expecting? We're expecting it to return the whole group 1, irrespective of this value column. So let's hit enter, see what we got. Down here we get this actually these 3 rows that actually the group is equal to 1, right? So even though this third row has a value is equal to 2, we still get it back. So it means this condition is correct. And why this is correct? Let's take a deeper look at how this is working. So let's say when we do group by group, and we have this value. Value is a vector. It's a vector by group. So when we do value is equal to vector is equal to 1, we get another logical vector. And when we do sum, it returns a scalar. So a scalar compared to a scalar returns a scalar. So this condition is actually a scalar for each group. And then this scalar condition broadcasts to the whole group if that group satisfies this condition. So that is how we do advanced filtering in R. So basically it's the syntax is a group by filter, and remember that you're going to return a scalar condition for each group. So if you're familiar with SQL, this is basically the group by having syntax in SQL. You specify an aggregate condition in the having syntax. So here it's the same thing. You return an aggregated condition in the filter, and that should give you return the groups that satisfy a certain condition. Okay, so this is today's video about filtering in dplyr, and hopefully you learned something useful, and thanks for watching the video.